This is case number 509 on the calendar in the matter of Lowry versus Lowry. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Lowry, you and the defendant are still legally married, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You have children together?
Yes, one daughter, Your Honor.
Do you have any other children?
No.
And do you?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 other children.
This is your claim. You are currently in the process of going through a divorce. Divorce, from what I understand from your papers, had gotten rather ugly. At some point, you claimed that when you were out of the house, and you had moved out of the house, but left behind a truck, you say that your wife vandalized it, and you want to be compensated for her vandalizing the truck.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Mrs. Lowry says that you are probably angry. She had you arrested for assault. You pled guilty to that assault. That's what she says. Is that true?
No, it's not, Your Honor.
What is the status of that action?
It has been heard in court. It was an Alford plea.
Mr. Lowry, if you took an Alford plea, you had an attorney.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your attorney explained to you that an Alford plea was exactly the same thing as being found guilty.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. And when did this assault take place?
The alleged assault took place, I believe, in July of 2013.
Okay. When was the plea entered?
The plea was entered on the 11th of this month.
11th of March.
Yes, Your Honor.
The basis of the assault is the one he's talking about now is his second degree assault. He's already been pled guilty once prior to that. So he has 2 assault degree charges pressed against him.
Is that correct, sir?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. When was the first...
Your Honor, I'm unclear on what relevance this has to as far as the claim to me, Your Honor.
It has a lot of relevance to me, sir. What you're ascribing, first of all, it has relevance to motive. Why, after a year, are you complaining about your damaged truck? That's one.
I made an attempt over the following months with her and her attorney to come to a settlement, and they were uncooperative, after which point I did file a claim. And it's been several months since I initially filed the claim. I filed the claim last year as well.
When did you file the claim last year?
December.
Well, the alleged vandalism happened in April.
Correct.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So 9 months later, I'm still not following, sir. What inspired this action now?
On the advice of my attorney at the time regarding these other criminal matters.
That's where we're getting. The other criminal matters, that's why you say I don't understand what the relevance is with regard to the other criminal matters. And I'm telling you,
I understand, Your Honor.
I'm a lawyer,
yes.
I'm a judge, they're like this.
Yes.
So you have 2 assaults. When was the first one and to what?
March 19th, 2013, and I had a slap mark on my face.
Okay. Now, that assault is not a second-degree assault.
The paperwork right here says it.
I'd like to take a look at that, please. It says you pled guilty, sir. Pled guilty to second-degree assault.
That's correct, Your Honor.
It doesn't say anything here about an Alford plea. It says a plea of guilty and the verdict is guilty. Sentence 3 years, suspended 3 years. Probation 3 years. You signed off on it March 11th.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Does that take care of both of the assault cases that you had?
The one was heard previously, but yes, Your Honor, that was the second and finalization of this.
What was the first one?
The one back in March. I don't have the police report. All I have is that piece of paperwork.
You're talking about the one that happened on March 19th?
Mm-hmm. This one just happened. The second assault.
When did this happen?
This happened in June 25th, 2013. He found guilty of that.
Tell me what happened on that day.
I was laying on the bed with our daughter at the time, who was 1.5. I had her in my arms, and he started to kick me.
What was he doing in the house?
He would come in at all hours whenever he felt present, that he felt the need to come check up on things. And I had our daughter in my arms, and he started kicking me, and he kicked me in my face.
What were you doing in the house on June 25th, sir? Look at me.
I was home that day doing some yard work outside, taking care of some things. She had asked me to come by the house and take care of, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me when she had the conversation and asked you to come by and take care of the things.
The day prior, as well as that day.
I want you to tell me what happened, Mr. Lowry, on June 25th. So now you're coming over to do some yard work.
Correct.
At her request, tell me what happened when you got to the house.
Got to the house.
Don't look down there.
We talked for several minutes, and then I proceeded to go outside to work. Got into what I was doing outside, working around the house, and then I At one point, or at some point, several hours later, I came inside to take a break. I guess it was hot outside. I came inside to take a break, and that was not acceptable to her.
Just a second. Don't tell me what is not acceptable. Tell me what she said to you.
She was upset that I was inside, that I had stopped working.
Was she upset that you stopped working, or was she upset that you were inside the house?
Some of the work I was doing was also inside, Your Honor, so it was...
But it's not what I asked
She
you.
was upset that I was not working at that time.
Tell me what she said to you.
Without the vulgarity of what...
With everything, all the vulgarity, sir. Tell me exactly what you say she said to you.
You're worthless. Go back outside and get back to work. Why are you inside?
Okay. What were you doing inside?
As I told you, Your Honor, it was hot outside. I was inside taking a break and getting a drink.
Where? In the kitchen, in the living room? And
Initially in the kitchen, and then my daughter was in the bedroom, so I went into the bedroom to spend a few minutes with my daughter.
And was your wife also in the bedroom?
Initially, no. Then she came in. Once I went into the bedroom, she came in.
Okay. When she came into the bedroom, were those the first things that she said? Listen to me. Were those the first things that she said to you?
Yes.
Really? Is that customary for her?
Yes. Well, at that point in our relationship, yes, it was, Your Honor.
Well, then, you explain to me why you went over to cut the lawn.
It's my house. It's my property. I was still willing to take care of the property, Your Honor.
What do you mean it's your house? You own the house?
Correct, Your Honor.
Alone?
Yes.
So the order that she had removing you from the house after the March assault, or whatever agreement that was, I assume there was some sort of order for you to be out of the house. Am I wrong about that?
No, there was an order that actually gave him the house, but we revamped the order to where I would have the house, and he had to get permission to enter the home.
It wasn't revamped. I made the decision to allow her and the children to stay in the house.
Can you tell me why you made that decision to let her and the children stay in the house and you stay with a friend?
To be honest, for the betterment of the children, the older two, her children are in school, and honestly, just the Christian thing to do, I think that.
Okay,
for the best
so
of the
now
children.
you're in the house in June.
Correct.
And how long have you owned it?
Since 2007, Your Honor.
And when were you married?
2011.
Okay. Now, tell me what happened in June. So she opens up a mouth. According to you, she opens up a mouth to you, get outside, and you say to her,
I'm taking a break. Just, don't get upset. Relax. I'm taking a break. I'm going back outside and working in a few minutes. And give me a few minutes with my daughter, please.
and she said,
She went on to say, you're not over here to spend time with her. You're over here to help take care of things around the house. Get back outside.
and you said to her,
I said, relax. I will. It's hot outside. I'm taking a break. She said, and continued the same thing. Well, you're not over here to take a break and see your daughter. Go back outside.
and
I refused. I sat there and continued to talk to my daughter, and then she took my daughter out of the room and set her out of the room, and came back in, and that's when she got physical with me.
what did she do to you?
Pushed me back on the bed and got on top of me and started smacking me in the face, kneeing me in the stomach and groin area.
So what did you do?
I pushed her off of me, tried to get off. Like I said, she pushed me back on the bed. I got up off the bed, and she tried to pull my leg back as I was getting up, and that's when she allegedly got kicked in the face.
And
I went to walk. I was like, all right, I give up. I'm going back outside. So I went to walk back outside. As I walked back outside, I was lighting a cigarette, walking outside, and she came up behind me and said, I told you not to smoke in the house. As I turned around, she had a coffee pot in her hand, empty coffee pot, glass pot, and swung it in my direction. I blocked it with my hand. And of course, injury from that, the glass shattered, cut my hand, and then that's when I left, and the police were called.
Were you or were you not arrested for that incident?
I was not, Your Honor.
But you pled guilty to?
Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why are you no longer getting along?
There's a list of reasons.
Well, you want to give me the top 4.
She's a pathological liar. She's manipulative. She's crazy. She sells drugs.
Okay, well, that's a good top 4.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cody Lowry is accusing his estranged wife, Brigitte Lowry, of vandalizing his truck. Brigitte denies the charge, claiming that Cody is retaliating for domestic abuse charges she filed against him.
Why I plead guilty?
Yeah.
The advice of my attorney, I had 7 charges against me, all from her, all not true.
I only hear about 2.
They're all the violations of the protective order, supposedly, stuff that she made up.
Okay. Now, Miss Larry, let's get back to this June 25th, because I'm really curious about that. And then we're going to get to the truck, because now I'm trying to get the psyche of what's going on here, because that's important to me as to whether or not you damaged his truck. So let's get to June.
Okay. The June 25th incident, he showed up at the house.
Had you called him?
No, Your Honor. I was borrowing our lawnmower from our neighbor who does lawn care, Manny. That's all I know as his name. Cody just showed up out of the blue, and I said, "You're not welcome here. You need to please leave." We started arguing.
When you say you borrowed the lawnmower from Manny, who was going to mow the lawn?
I was.
Okay, had you mowed the lawn before?
Yes, I was the only one who did yard work outside.
Do you know Manny, Mr. Lowry?
I do, Your Honor.
If I were to telephone Manny, would Manny tell me that he loaned Mrs. Lowry the lawnmower?
I seriously doubt it, Your Honor. I don't think that's true at all. We own our own lawnmower.
Just a second. If I were to call Manny, would Manny tell me that he loaned you the lawnmower?
Yes, Your Honor. Our lawnmower got caught on fire.
Just a second. You're her mother? Do you know Manny's last name?
No, I don't. I just know he's a Greek. He lives next door.
Sir, you work for him, I understand.
I do not know his last name, ma'am.
Stand up. How long have you worked for Manny?
Off and on for the last 3 years.
Did Manny have his own lawnmower?
He's got numerous of lawnmowers.
Now you can sit. I may not be finished with you totally.
Okay.
Now, the June incident, you pled guilty to the June incident, which was also a violation of the protective order that was issued after the March incident.
The protective order wasn't put in place until August, Your Honor.
Well, then what were the 7 actions?
They were starting from August up until currently.
About what?
The violations, or alleged violations, that I had contact with her.
There's the showcase order that I drew up for the judge one time when he tried to take me back to court to try to get the protective order dismissed.
Okay. Now I know that you really don't like each other, and I actually do not believe that she invited you over to do inside housework. Just not something that I believe would happen. Now you can sit down. In any event, now let's get back to the truck. You left the truck when you left in March.
Correct, Your Honor.
And it was in March that this alleged first assault took place.
Correct, Your Honor.
An assault to which you subsequently pled guilty.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say that you have a witness to
Two
establish
witnesses, Your Honor.
that two.
Yes, Your Honor. One that saw it and one that heard testimony by Brigitte as far as regards to her admitting that she did, in fact, damage the truck.
Well, first I want to hear the person who heard the admission by Mrs. Lowry that she did it.
Yes, Your Honor. That is actually Chanel. It's her sister.
You're her sister?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me if you ever had occasion to speak to your sister about this incident with the truck where Mr. Lowry alleges that his truck was vandalized.
At the time, we were getting along. We were speaking. Now we are not.
Who was?
Me and my sister.
Why are you no longer getting along?
There's a list of reasons.
Well, you want to give me the top 4.
She's a pathological liar. She's manipulative. She's crazy. She sells drugs.
Okay, well, that's a good top 4.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Me and Manny talked about how they weren't getting along.
Why would you talk to Manny about her not getting along with her husband if you didn't tell Manny about seeing this debacle that you just saw in the driveway?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cody Lowry is accusing his estranged wife, Brigitte Lowry, of smashing out the lights and windows of his truck.
Now, tell me about the discussion that you had with her with regard to the truck.
Mr. Lowry had called me and asked me if I knew what was going on. I told him, no, I didn't.
When did he call you?
It was back in July.
All right, so July you have a conversation with her sister. Now, what did you tell him?
I told him what she had told me.
Which was what?
The conversation was that she took a brick and smashed his windshield.
And what did you say to her?
I was like, why would you do that? She was just like, just to come off.
And you had this conversation with her when?
In July.
The same month that he called you?
Yeah.
The same
like
month?
I kind of brought it up to her, and we were just at the house, sitting at the house, having a conversation.
Uh-huh.
I contacted her to ask her if she knew anything about it as about my case. She said she didn't, and she would ask.
Oh, so at that time in July when she said she didn't know anything, is that when you reached out to your sister?
Yeah, I reached out to my, yeah.
Oh, now I got it. So you were actually acting as his agent, because by that time you didn't like your sister anymore. You weren't speaking.
No, we were speaking, but I just was curious.
Well, then why would you agree to act in the capacity of an agent for Mr. Lowry?
I just wanted to hear both sides of the story.
Well, now you heard both sides of the story, but then you went back and told him.
Yes.
Excuse me,
What? Why?
Because he had asked me.
Sit down. You worked for Manny for 2 years. So now I want you to tell me, what, if anything, you allege that you saw and when you allege you saw it?
Back in April of last year, I pulled up to Manning's house. He was not there, knocked on his door, he was not there, and I heard a bunch of ruckus. I looked over, and I saw this young lady here hitting the truck, pipe, wrench, something big. So I stood there for a minute, startled me, and then I saw her throw the brick through the window.
And?
And then I left.
Okay, and that was in April.
Mm-hmm.
And to whom did you report this incident?
I didn't report it to nobody. I told Cody when he proceeded to come back to the house.
In what month did you tell Cody?
It was July. I did not know Cody until after this incident. When I saw him in July, I was over next door at Manning's, and I walked over because Manning said to ask him about cutting his yard.
Okay, well, a normal person would have said, I just saw somebody come out of that house and throw a brick through the windshield of a car that was in the driveway. You know whose car that is? That's what I would say. Did you say that to Manning?
No, me and Manning talked about how they weren't getting along.
Why would you talk to Manny about her not getting along with her husband if you didn't tell Manny about seeing this debacle that you just saw in the driveway?
We just started talking about how they weren't getting along.
Sit down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
My sister is cohabiting with Mr. Cody Lowry starting back in July, and she also has drug charges and theft charges my mother and father have pressed on her.
I figured there was something more than that you just weren't getting along with each other.
We've never gotten along,
Whatever.
ever.
Whatever. I don't believe her anyway.
Okay.
I don't believe him either. And more than that, I actually think that the two of you have more things to worry about.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Yes.
I have a text message screenshot from Ms. Lowry that she texted me the evening prior to the damage being done, stating that she was, in fact, with the intention to damage the vehicle.
That I would like to see.
Yes, Your Honor.
That I would like to see. Oh, that's interesting, madam.
I was with my mother that day.
I don't care. Call me now if you don't want your baby destroyed that is sitting in our driveway. That's from you.
No, Your Honor.
I don't believe that.
It's true, though.
My dear, that I absolutely believe. I don't believe her, and I don't believe him. But I actually believe that that message came from your phone. Now I'll see the pictures of the car. Oh, yes. Do you have estimates?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them. Okay. Oh, I love these electronic devices. It sometimes makes it so easy, even when people...
This is Brown. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Who's Lois Harris?
Me.
And you're Jasira?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim, Jasira, that Hallie broke your phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hallie says she didn't break your phone, and she's counterclaiming for harassment, right?
Yes.
So, Hallie, I gather from reading your answer that you and the plaintiff know each other. Why don't you sit down? You can sit down. That you and the plaintiff know each other.
Yes.
Are you friends?
Yes.
Tell me about the phone. Did you ask to borrow her phone?
Yes, I asked to use it while we were at work.
Do you have a phone of your own?
Yes, but I didn't have it that day.
Why not?
I was letting someone else use my phone at home.
Who?
My boyfriend.
Your boyfriend lives at home with you?
Well, we did. At the time, we lived together.
So he was using your phone?
Yes.
Any particular reason?
Because he was looking for a job, so I let him use my phone.
And you were at work with the plaintiff?
Yes.
Who did you want to call?
I was texting my boyfriend, and I was texting one of my bosses.
Well, you weren't texting them unless you borrowed her phone.
Right.
So you asked to borrow her phone about what time?
In the morning, like around 10-ish.
What time did you return it?
I texted him for a little bit, and I texted my boss and put it right back in there, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I put it right back in her purse.
Where was her purse?
It was on the side of the gym by a chair. Well, her purse was on the chair.
Did you borrow her phone again?
No.
That was the only time you borrowed her phone?
That was the only time.
So you borrowed it for 15 minutes and you put it back
Yes.
in her purse?
Yes.
Okay. And had no problem with it?
I had no problem.
Okay. Now I'll hear you.
Okay, so it was 6:17. She asked to borrow my phone, text her boyfriend. I gave it to her. She gave it back to me. And he texted her back. I gave it to her. And then, like...
So you're going too fast for me.
I'm sorry.
She asked to borrow your phone to text her boyfriend.
Yes.
You gave her your phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And?
She gave it back to me. And then I gave it back to her after he texted her. And then...
So he responded?
Yeah, he responded to her.
So you gave it back to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that refresh your recollection? It would be on the phone.
Yes.
So she did give it back to you?
That was earlier in the morning, though. We're talking about when I put it back in her purse.
I'm talking about the whole day.
Okay.
Now, she let you use her phone starting early in the morning.
Right.
How many times did you take her phone altogether?
Probably like 4 times.
So you took her phone, put it back, no problem.
At first, I was giving it to her because we were at work next to each other. So I would text him, give it back to her, and then he'll text me back and give it back to me. Only time I had Josiah's phone on my own is when she went out of the gym to go handle some little kids. That's the only time I had her phone without her being around.
So, but you had no problem. She gave you the phone back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Okay, so yeah, I gave her my phone, and then she gave
Several
it back.
times?
Yeah, several times. And then the last time, I see Haley going over to my purse, and I immediately rushed over there, and I seen that my phone was cracked. And I asked her what happened. She immediately informed me that she would pay for my phone when she get paid.
No, just a second. You went over there because you saw her put the phone in your purse.
Yes, I saw her throw my phone in my purse, and then...
When you say throw it?
She tossed it,
Okay. Well, that didn't break the phone.
No, but it was like a DSi that she got from a kid, and I guess that's what broke the phone.
What's the DSi?
It was a little boys' game system, and she said, I'm putting this in your purse, and I was like, okay. And then I seen her going over there. She had my phone, and then she had the DSi on top of my phone. She tossed it in there, and then I ran over there, and I was like, what are you doing? You should have put my phone back in my hand.
You know, Miss Harris, I'm not following you.
You're not following me?
No. I'm not following because you're not making yourself clear, because it's my job to follow people. If she took your phone and threw your phone in your purse, okay, purse is soft.
Yeah.
Right? You went over when you saw her put the phone in your purse. I don't understand why.
I'm guessing my phone was already cracked. That's why she put my phone in my purse, because I gave her my phone in my hand. You would have thought she would have gave me my phone back in my hand, and then...
So what you're saying was when you went over, she was still near your purse, and you took out your phone? Not her,
Yes, ma'am.
Was the phone in the purse?
Yes, ma'am.
Who took the phone out of the purse?
I took my phone out of my purse.
And the phone was cracked?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, slowly, what did you say to her?
I said, Haley, what happened to my phone? And then she immediately...
Just a sec. You're moving too fast.
Okay, I'm sorry.
When teenagers talk fast, I have a problem with that.
Where?
You said, Haley, what happened to my phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And she said what?
Yes, and I said...
Not yes. What did she say? Look up. Don't look over there. Look over here.
She said, what happened? She said, what's wrong with it? I said, well, it's cracked.
No, I don't understand the word you're saying. Slowly.
I said, well, it's cracked. And she said, how? I said, well, you were using it. You tell me. And then she's like, well, I'll just pay for it when I get paid next week. And that was the end of it.
Just
we went back to work.
So you said to her, what happened to my phone? And she said, well, it's cracked.
No. I asked her, what happened to my phone? And I said, well, it's cracked. And then that's when she said, well, I don't know how it's cracked, but
so she
I
said
probably
she doesn't,
dropped it.
Well, now you're adding things. I don't know how it cracked. Then she said to you, maybe I dropped it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
How come you left that out before?
I don't know.
Because you were talking too fast.
Okay.
I mean, that would be the critical thing that one would say. I said to her, what happened to my phone? She said, I dropped it. Not maybe I dropped it, if that's what she said to you. And then what happened?
She said that she'll pay for it, and I just left it alone because I was at work.
And then what happened?
And then I called my mom and told her, like, Mama, Kaylee cracked my phone. And then that's when my mom said, if she don't pay for it, then we're going to take her to court. She haven't paid for it.
When had you gotten the phone?
I got it Black Friday.
Who got it for you?
I'm still making payments on it, too, so.
So you bought it yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
Okay, Josiah wasn't in the gym when I put her phone back in the purse. That is why I put her phone back in her purse, because if she was there, I would have gave it to her.
Just a second. Each time that you had borrowed the phone, the 4 times that you had borrowed the phone, you would give, just a second, you gave it back to her personally.
Yes, ma'am. But the last time, she wasn't in the gym.
Just a second. Well, she couldn't have been far if she left her purse there. Common sense. She couldn't have been far if she left her purse there, because you wouldn't put a valuable phone in a purse in a gym with other people there, because somebody could have come and swiped it. swipe the purse, swipe the bag, so she couldn't have been far away. So why didn't you return it to her the same way you had returned it to her 4 times that day?
Because she was out in the family center. The family center is pretty far, and we have other kids in the gym that I can't leave to go give her a phone.
Why don't you just hold on to it until she came back?
Because I was playing with the kids, and I didn't want it to be in my pocket or hold it in my hand, so I put it in her purse so that it wouldn't, the other kids, it wouldn't slide out of my pocket.
Do you have her text messages to her boyfriend? Mm-hmm. The last one. Could I see it, please? So you were having a discussion with your boyfriend. He owed you some money?
I don't even remember what those messages were about.
Just a second.
Honestly.
When can I get my money? Question. You told my mama this week, and it's been a month. Yes, I know what I told your mom. I just got back in town. Let me pay my bills, and then I'll give you your money.
No,
I may not have all
me
of
and
it.
Jasira. Yeah, those messages are from me and Jasira.
I just want to have her last emails to her boyfriend.
It's the first message that's in the yellow. That was the last message.
Is what you're saying these are her emails to you, that she would give you money?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because they kept harassing me.
Just a second. Is what you're saying, these are not emails to your boyfriend, it's emails to her.
Right.
That you were going to pay her for the phone.
Because she kept harassing me over and over
I don't care
again.
what for. Well, I asked you a question. Are these your emails to her?
Yes.
Telling her, you'll get your money. I may not have all of it.
Yes.
Good. How much was the phone?
The phone altogether is $500.
Show me. $416.88. Good. So clearly you told her that you were going to pay for the phone. Now you want to tell me about the harassment?
I never really agreed on to paying her phone.
Give her the other ones.
Lois Jasira's mother, she kept calling me, threatening me, and my friend, Shanika, heard her on the phone. I had her on speakerphone.
That's not my problem that you put it on speakerphone. You want to tell me why you didn't pay her?
Because I didn't break her phone. There's no, I never said I broke her phone.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $416.88. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused, Ms. Stephan.
I think Jasira broke her phone, and she's afraid of her mom. Her mom's crazy.
I didn't break it. If I did break it, I paid for it.
So I think her mom probably broke her. She didn't want to tell her mom that.
I paid my money, so why would she be mad?
We don't really talk anymore.
Like, why couldn't you just pay me my phone?
It's kind of sad. We knew each other all our life, but hey, it happens.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of El Salah versus Shaw. Step forward.
Vanessa El Sala is suing her former landlord, Kerry Shaw, for moving costs, harassment, and lost wages, resulting from a hostile living situation.
Ms. El Sala, you rented a premises from the defendant. You moved out of the premises on your own, and now you want the defendant to pay for your moving costs, for lost wages, acts of retaliation, and harassment.
Yes.
The defendant is counterclaiming. He says you owe him for rent, legal fees that he paid to have you evicted, and that you vandalized the property. May I see a copy of that lease?
Yes, you sure may.
Do you also have a copy of the lease, Mr. Shaw?
I have a copy.
Good.
Okay, that might work out better. I don't have mine. Dang it, she took
You have the lease? Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
According to your complaint, you say one of the problems that you had was you rented the place and the full garage.
Yes.
Show me where it says that in the lease. Because this was an ongoing dispute that you had, the two of you. Show me in the lease where it says that you rented the premises, including the garage.
Well, I don't really see it
It's not there.
in here.
It's not there.
Yeah.
If it's not there, it doesn't exist.
Well,
and now you have to understand what the law is.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you change the locks in the garage?
Yes, I sure did.
You're not allowed to do that.
So what about trying to break into my home, breaking into the garage, and harassing my children when I'm not there?
You're not allowed to do that.
So he can just enter my home with my children?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vanessa El Sala says former landlord Kerry Shaw harassed her throughout her tenancy. Kerry is countersuing for unpaid rent, legal fees, and vandalism.
The law is when you sign a rental agreement or a lease, the entire agreement between the parties is in this one document.
I have many emails stating that he's going to take his stuff out of the garage so I could have it.
I don't care if it's not in here agreed to by both of you. It doesn't exist. It's got to be in writing, signed the same way that you signed here. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Fine. You moved in with your 2 children. At what point was there another tenant, another adult?
There was never another adult.
At what point did anybody else stay with you for any period of time?
I didn't have anyone staying with me in a period of time. I had visitors, and my daughter's boyfriend was there a lot, and I also had him stay there at nighttime when I would work because he was harassing us.
Okay, so the answer is, to my question, you had discussions with Mr. Shaw about 2 different things. You told Mr. Shaw that you wanted him to clean out everything in the garage.
Yes.
And at some point, Mr. Shaw said to you, in October of 2014, there's another person staying in the house. He said to you, I'm not saying that it's true, but that's what he said to you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
And pursuant to the terms of the lease, which it says right here, if you have another person staying there, he's allowed to charge another $100 a month. That's what it says here. So he said, I want you to start paying me an extra $100 a month. So far correct?
Yes.
The same time in October, you said to him, I'm going to start deducting $70 a month from my rent because I don't have full use of the garage.
That's correct.
Right? That's what you said to him. Did you start to pay him $70 less a month in rent?
Yes.
You can't do that.
He agreed to it.
Show me. In writing, signed by both of you.
He sent me a Christmas card and said in January he will move out the stuff in the garage and hopefully his $70 will be restored.
Listen to me. That's not an agreement, Miss Alsea. You have no right to start deducting rent. You can move, you can sue him, you can do a lot of things, but you can't breach the lease by starting to...
I paid him back the $70 I was deducting. I paid him back the $280 for the 3 months of $70.
When?
In February, and I have the receipt.
Just a second. February, did you start to pay him the extra $100 a month?
No, there was nobody else staying with me. It was just me and my 2 daughters, and I didn't feel like it was necessary to pay for visitors.
How old is your daughter's boyfriend?
17. And he would visit and he would look after him because he was harassing us and I felt uncomfortable and I had to work and I had to go to school.
Just a second. When did he start harassing you? What month?
January.
Not in October?
No.
So he
Apparently he was on vacation.
So he started to harass you because you had stopped paying him your full rent.
He started harassing me with his eviction notice.
And he gave you an eviction notice
because he didn't want to take his stuff out of the garage.
Just a second. Miss Alsea, you're not following me, my dear.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happened to the flooring?
I bought the flooring, and he never paid me for it.
What kind of flooring was there?
It was laminate flooring, and I have the receipt that I paid for the floors.
But you took out his floor.
I took out the floors.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vanessa El Sela says former landlord Kerry Shaw harassed her throughout her tenancy. Kerry is countersuing for unpaid rent, legal fees, and vandalism.
Your lease doesn't provide you with a garage.
It was a verbal agreement, though.
I'm just trying to explain to you. What don't you understand? If it's not in this lease, it doesn't exist. And you knew that you owed him the money because, according to you, you paid him the money in February, the 3 months' rent. And you didn't pay him the money until you were served with an eviction notice. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
All right.
Because he asked for it, and I gave it to him.
Yeah. Miss Alsea, you have no case. You wanted to move, you moved. That's it.
So what about trying to break into my home, breaking into the garage, and harassing my children when I'm not there?
Just a second. Did you change the locks in the garage?
Yes, I sure did.
You're not allowed to do that.
I did it for the house,
to do
too.
that.
So what? So he can just enter my home with my children?
Just a second. We're not talking about your home. Now we're talking about the garage. You changed the locks in the garage that contained some of his property.
That he would not take out.
Miss Alsea, you resorted to self-help. I can't help you. Now, did you pay your last month's rent?
Yes, I did.
Okay, show me. You were there until what month?
I moved out March 30th.
Show me you paid March's rent.
Well, I didn't pay March because he deleted his account, and I sent him a check, and he didn't cash it.
Just a second. So you owe him March's rent?
I attempted to pay him.
So the answer is you owe him March's rent. How much was your rent?
$13.90.
Now, Did you have all of your stuff out March 30th?
I had plants on the outside, but I didn't have access to the house anymore.
Did you come back to the house to get your plants?
Yes.
When?
The April 1st, probably.
On what date, Mr. Shaw, did she leave the house?
She left April 5th was the last day.
Okay. You're alleging vandalism. So far she owes you $1,390. You're alleging vandalism and property taken without permission. What property did she take?
When I got entrance on April 6th.
You have laryngitis? Is that?
I had cancer.
Okay.
But when I entered the property April 6th, we had to do it through a window because it was locked and the keys didn't fit. We found the front room laminate flooring was gone. The knobs on all the kitchen cabinets were gone.
Just a second. What happened to the flooring?
I bought the flooring, and he never paid me for it. That was another issue with him.
What kind of flooring was there?
It was laminate flooring, and that was one of our agreements, that when I moved in, that he would change the flooring. And I have the receipt that I paid for the floors.
So, but you took out his floor.
I took out the floors.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. How much did it cost you to put back the floors?
$1,250.
What about the cabinet doorknobs?
It never took any doorknobs.
You didn't take cabinet doorknobs?
No.
Fine. Mr. Shaw, $1,285 for the floor, $1,390 she owes you in rent. She says she didn't take the knobs off the kitchen cabinets.
I have photos showing.
She said she didn't take them off.
Okay.
Great. Judgment on the counterclaim for $2,675 you claim is dismissed. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
If you're not going to lie...
I'm not going to lie.
We're getting a lot of lying here.
Their arrangement sounds laughable.
She did, in fact, tell me to take the car and drive the car for a month.
Next Judge Judy.
I would always look out the window and look up and see him. It's creepy.
I never loitered. Never even saw him.
My mom has been through so much. It's not fair.
The only time I saw the daughter.
Not fair, though.
Was when I was cutting a lock off.
Because he harassed us.
The garage to get at my maintenance supplies.
And he gets away with it, and now what are you smiling about?
I'm very happy everything's done with.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat. Huh?
Ms. Brown, you bought a used car from the defendant and want your money back.
Yes.
Mr. Bob Manuel says it's a used car. The car's 14 years old. You buy a used car as is, and you're not getting your money back. So you found this car how?
On Craigslist.
Had you been looking for a car that was this old?
Yeah, for my price range.
Car is a 2000 Toyota Solara, and he was selling it for $2,780. Is that right?
It was dropped down to that, yeah. I believe when I started looking at it, it was $29, I think.
Did you look it up in Kelley Blue Book?
Yes.
And what was the price for it?
It was a little bit high. I think it was in Kelley Blue Book about 21.
21. Well, if the Kelley Blue Book price was 21 and he was asking 29, that's a lot higher. How much did you end up paying for it?
26.
That's still $500 more. Why would you pay $500 more than it was worth?
Really wanted the car, and I don't know how the Kelley Blue Book really works.
I'm sure you do.
I mean, I know.
Of course you do. If you look
with
a
a
car
private
up in
party.
Kelley Blue Book, you don't look it up to find out whether it's an attractive mate. You look it up to find out how much it's worth, right?
Yes.
Of course. And this car, you paid $500 more than the Kelley Blue Book said, according to you, said it was worth. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Why?
I really wanted the car.
Why did you really want this particular car?
Because it's a Toyota Solara, and that's the kind of car I was looking for.
So you were looking for this particular car?
Right. Yes.
And you went to see it? On what date?
The first time, the 15th.
Of what month?
I'm sorry, of April this year.
And?
And I liked it, and I wanted my mechanic to look at it, and he needed it for 2 hours, and he said that he needed to speak with his roommate because he didn't feel comfortable with me having the car for 2 hours, which I understand. Anyways, he went ahead and took it down there.
Took it to where?
To my mechanic. And to
This is your mechanic?
Yes, it is. Yes,
okay,
he is.
and?
But he didn't tell anybody why he was there. He didn't mention my name or that he was even selling a car so nobody knew that he was there to have the car looked at because I was buying it.
How did he get the name of your mechanic?
I gave it to him.
So you gave him the name of the mechanic and the address.
Right, but we needed to set up ahead of time so I can coordinate with my mechanic that he was going to be coming.
How long did it take him to get from his place where the car was to your mechanic?
Probably 15 minutes, maybe at the most.
15 minutes there, so a half hour. And what happened when you took it to the mechanic?
The mechanic wanted to charge me $150.
Was that this gentleman?
No, Your Honor.
Was somebody else?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what did you do?
I told him I can't afford it.
Okay, and you took the car back. So, Miss Brown, so now he takes the car to your mechanic. He doesn't leave the car there, and he, I assume, tells you that he took it to your mechanic.
Yes.
And the mechanic wanted $150. Yes?
Yes.
And he said, I'm not paying $150 to have the car inspected. For you.
Right, yes.
And?
Because they did not know why he was there.
I don't, you caned tell me the because.
So I
because
asked him if he could take it back.
Because you don't know the because. You don't know the because. That goes into somebody else's operation of their mind, and you can't tell me the because.
Okay.
He took a half hour of his time, took the car to your mechanic.
Yes.
They didn't inspect it. He took it back. He tells you that he didn't have it inspected and why from your mechanic, and what do you do?
I told him if we could have coordinated it, because my mechanic wasn't even there.
So you said if we could have coordinated it, maybe it'd be better. And
can you please take it back?
And he said?
He doesn't have the time.
I don't blame him.
And so that was pretty much that. For another week, and then I noticed that he still had the ad in the paper, in the Craigslist, and I texted him and asked him if he would be willing to go down $500 since my mechanic isn't going to get to look at it. And he agreed, or well, he didn't agree. I said, I'll give you 25, and he said, make it 26, and I said, you have a deal.
Great. And
he said that he has a smog certificate. It just passed smog, no problem. And when I took it to my mechanic, that was on Saturday. When I took it to my mechanic on the 27th of April on a Monday, he said, don't buy the car. It's not going to pass smog. There's $6,000 worth of things wrong with it, and don't buy it. But I had already bought it. And so I went and I got another, he recommended that I go get another smog, and I did, and it failed. And that's why we're here.
That's why you're here. He gave you a certificate that they showed it had smog tested.
He did.
Just a second. And I assume, because I read the paperwork, yours and his, and you had the authorities, whoever they are, go to the place where he said he had it smog tested, correct?
Yes.
And those people found that there was no fraud at the place where he took it to have it inspected.
I'm not aware of that.
Well, do you have a report? You called the authorities.
I filed a report.
You filed the
with
report?
DMV, yes.
You filed it. Well, did you follow up?
I haven't been able to get in touch with anyone.
Oh, that's too bad.
They said that most of the cases don't even get looked at.
Just a second.
Okay.
So you can't tell me what they said. That's nonsense. If you have a report from them, that I'll see. But if you reported them and you didn't follow up to find out what happened, I can't help you. Do you have a bill of sale for this car? Mm-hmm. Can I take a look at it? Because
Please.
That's your contract.
Yes.
Well, this isn't a bill of sale. This is a vehicle transfer. Where's the bill of sale?
I thought the bigger sheet was the bill of sale.
Vehicle transfer and reassignment form.
That's what he gave me.
This is what he gave you?
With the title.
He says he's selling you a 2000 Toyota sedan for $2,600. It's got 182,874 miles. Doesn't say anything about a smog test.
I have the smog right here.
No, I don't care what you have. This is your contract. This is what you're telling me. This is your contract. You signed it, and he signed it, right?
Yes.
This is your contract. He said he's telling you a 15-year-old car that's got 182,000 miles on it. That's the only thing that he's guaranteeing. Now, if he sold you this car and he put down it's got 82,000 miles and it had 182,000 miles, that's fraud.
But my mechanic, when he looked at it, said that it can't pass smog, and that says I have a certificate saying it did from him, and I went and got another opinion, and it didn't pass.
Doesn't matter. I don't care what it's... You didn't buy a car that can pass a smog test. That's first of all. You bought a car for $2,600 that has 182,000 miles on it. That's this contract that you signed and he signed. And your mechanic can't tell me that the place that he took the car to, which you reported, committed fraud when they passed the car for smog. You can't tell me that. You're the mechanic?
Yes, I am.
Great. Stand up. You can tell me the car shouldn't have been purchased, right?
Yes.
Because it had lots of work that had to be done on it, right?
Correct.
And if you were advising her before, you would have said, don't buy the car, right?
Correct.
But she bought the car.
The problem I have is in California, the seller is responsible for smog, and it clearly would not pass smog.
Sir, you can't tell me that the place where he took it to have it smog, because she has a certificate. Are you saying that the certificate is fraudulent?
Yeah.
Well, you have to prove that. And the only way to prove that is to have the authorities from the state of California go to the gas station or facility where he took the car and check their equipment and say their equipment is wrong. How else do you draw that conclusion?
Can I show you my report?
No.
Okay. Well,
you can't tell me that. Take a look at her smog certificate. Are you familiar with what they look like in the state of California? Does that look like a legitimate smog report?
Yes, it does.
So either he's a forger or the place where he took it forged it, right?
Correct.
You don't know that.
I know that her failure wasn't fresh. Her failure was old, making it impossible to pass smog, which is why I told her to get it smogged immediately after, and it failed for the exact reason that was in our report. That was fraud. You can pick up a phone call still and get a car smogged without even bringing it down. There are shops like that.
Well, that may be. Is that what you did with the car?
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
Did you take the car to a facility to have it smogged?
I took it to a mechanic shop, Your Honor.
Did you give her the name of the mechanic shop?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that the place that you called?
I never
When you
called.
called the authorities and tell them that this is the place that passed this car for smog?
Yeah, I filled out my report and I sent along the certificate that I had, and it has the shop's name on it.
And?
And I haven't heard back yet. They said they don't see most of the cases, or a lot of the cases. It's low priority.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that. Why didn't you take the car to that shop to have it smogged?
Because I wanted to get another opinion.
No. If he had the car smogged, on what date?
The 21st.
21st of what?
April.
And on what date did you purchase the car?
The 25th of April.
So, if you wanted the car to pass smog, then you take it to the facility where he says he had the car smogged, and if they say to you 4 days later, this car's not going to pass smog, and say, listen, 3 days ago you passed this car. Now you're telling me that it doesn't pass? Oh, now we're in trouble. That, to me, smacks of some sort of fraud. Now I'm going to report you to the Attorney General. But you wanted out of the car to begin with.
Because of all the things that are wrong with it.
Right.
Because it was listed as excellent. It was not excellent condition.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I mean, when I saw it, obviously, I knew it wasn't in excellent condition. But he said that it passed smog, no problem, but it was a $300 bill paid with 5 different credit cards.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? If you wanted your car to pass smog, all you had to do was to take the car to the same place where 3 days before he had taken the car to be smogged, gave you a certificate, and say to them, I would like a new smog certificate in my name for this car. Either they'll give it to you or they'll say, well, we're not passing it. It was a fraud. He got this form and filled it out, and it was his fraud. But what you did was you wanted your car to fail smog because, as you just said to me, there were too many things wrong with it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I ran towards my car. When she backed up, she hit a vehicle. When I told her to get out, she didn't put the car in park. She got out the car, and the car rolled forward and smashed into the wall.
At the police?
Ma'am, I did not call the...
Ma'am, what about the police?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kara Brown is suing Ernest Bob Manuel for defrauding her on the sale of a car.
According to you, what you said to me 5 minutes ago was my mechanic said, don't buy it because there's $6,000 worth of work. Is that the number you gave her?
Correct.
$6,000 worth of work?
Yes.
So she never would have bought it. But she already bought it. And if you're a mechanic, you know you buy a used car as is, unless there are warranties.
But it has to pass smog.
I'm not repeating myself again, sir. We understand what happened. We understand that if she wanted this car, which is a 15-year-old car, she could have taken it back to the same place that was on her smog form, and they would have passed it, or they would have said to you, I never passed this car 3 days ago. He fraudulently got a piece of paper, and he fraudulently filled it out. Then we're in a whole different ballgame.
I don't think it's fraudulent that way. I think it's fraudulent. They passed it. They did something to the card to make it pass. I don't think the certificate, I think that's authentic.
Then who committed the fraud? If he took it to a place to get it smog tested, and they did something to the car to get it to pass smog, what are you suing him for?
But it was $300 that didn't just pass. There was a lot of things that had to be done.
You have no case. When you buy a used car, listen out there in television land, when you buy a used car, you buy it as is, unless in your bill of sale you have certain things laid out. The car has never been in an accident. The car has this many miles on it. The car has its original motor. Whatever it is that you feel important when you buy a 15-year-old car, you don't buy it and then take it to your mechanic a day later. Thanks. That's all. Your case is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew it from the beginning that she was trying to get me into trouble.
My mechanic said that right away just by looking at it.
I have a lot to lose, and I cannot.
The neck was cracked, and it can't pass smog.
Because of 2600.
I'm not exactly sure what that means.
Jeopardize everything I've got in the past.
Have it checked before you buy it.
Yeah, I have to have honor. You know, I cannot jeopardize it because of 2600.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Anderson versus LeVar. Step forward.
22-year-old Kayla Anderson is suing her former friend, 21-year-old Shakira LeVar, of driving her car drunk and crashing it. Shakira claims Kayla wrecked her own car, and she is countersuing for unpaid babysitting fees.
Miss Anderson, Miss LeVar is a friend of yours, is that right?
Yes.
And you were out together for an evening of partying?
Yes.
On December 15th, 2014, according to you. You claimed that she was drunk and got into your car and smashed it and totaled it.
Yes.
Ms. LeVar says that you got into your car drunk and totaled it.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You saw somebody driving your car, hit another car, and leaving the scene, if I believe you, which I don't. I don't believe this whole case. And you didn't call the police? Yes or no?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old Kayla Anderson is suing her former friend, 21-year-old Shakira LeVar, of driving her car drunk and crashing it. Shakira claims Kayla wrecked her own car, and she is countersuing for unpaid babysitting fees.
This happened outside a club?
Yes.
Was it a busy club?
Yeah.
What does that mean? That's a high-pitched. Was it a busy club?
Yes.
What time?
Probably around like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And it happened in the parking lot?
Yes.
How many people were out in the parking lot?
Probably like 30, 45 people.
Were you drunk?
Yeah.
Were you drunk?
Yes, ma'am.
How drunk?
I wasn't at the highest level. I was able to function and still do everything that I was supposed to do.
What does that mean?
I wasn't that intoxicated.
You weren't that intoxicated. You knew...
I still knew my wares. I still knew my whereabouts. I still knew everything that was going on, everything that was happening.
Great. And I read your complaint, and you say that you saw the defendant in your car smashing into one wall and then backing it up and smashing it into another wall.
Yes, can I clarify that story, please? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we all went out, you know.
Don't start at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
All I'm asking was a question.
Somebody came into the club and told me...
Don't tell me what anybody said to you.
I went outside. I seen my car backing up. I ran towards my car for her to get out the car. She didn't see me because she was drunk. When she backed up, she hit a vehicle when she backed up. When I told her to get out...
Just a minute, so she hit another car?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When she backed up, she started to go forward. I told her to get out of the car. She literally got out of the car, never put the car...
Describe what the vehicle was that she hit.
I want to say it was a I know it was Auburn Orange.
Was there anybody in the car that she hit?
No.
Who did the car belong to?
Honestly, I do not know.
Well, what was the license plate number?
For that car?
Yeah.
I do not know.
Then you say that she hit another wall.
When I told her to get out the car, she didn't put the car in park. She got out the car, and the car rolled forward and smashed into the wall.
And what did you do next?
People was outside recording it because they thought it was funny. I called my uncle. He came and got the truck. He told it to his shop.
What about the police?
Ma'am, I did not call
ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
My rough and bumpy skin makes me feel really self-conscious.
Gold Bond Rough and Bumpy Skin Therapy. Used daily, it reduces bumps 72%. Gold Bond.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. That's why we offer this free book. Call 1-800-400-5903.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
What about the police?
I did not.
According to you,
call.
You witnessed somebody hitting another car and leaving the scene, if I believe you, which I don't. I don't believe this whole case. You saw somebody driving your car, hit another car, and you didn't call the police and make a police report? And you didn't leave a card on that other car saying, I know who hit your car, it was me, here's my insurance number? You didn't do any of that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Oh, good. So what did you do?
The only thing I didn't do was call the police. I have gotten in contact with the other people. They are suing me for the damages due to their car.
Show me.
I didn't know I could bring that because it was a different case. But I do have evidence. I did not call the police because we both were drunk. I didn't want to go to jail for...
Just a second. Proof.
You lived through this.
Proof. No.
I don't have proof for their car.
Go back. Go back to New York. That's all. Case dismissed.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
They were just $1,000 loans that she was taking out.
For what?
To go shopping, to buy food.
Not for myself.
For whom?
For him. To pay back people that were threatening him and his family.
Next Judge Judy.
I came outside to smoke a cigarette, and she was backing up.
I don't know. Kayla delusional.
I waved at her and said, stop, stop. And she didn't hear me. That's when she hit the first car.
I never crashed her car. I never got in her car.
I knocked on the window for her to stop. She stopped and got out of the car.
I gave her car keys and her wallet once we got in the bathroom.
And the car went forward and went into the wall.
When I came out the club, I was so intoxicated, I don't even remember. I know I never got near that car.
I didn't call the police because we both were drunk.
Never was near that car.
I didn't want none of us to go to jail. My uncle came and got the car because it was non-drivable.
She got it towed. I remember that. She definitely got it towed, but I wasn't near it.
I mean, everybody was laughing and recording.
I'm gonna stop drinking after that one.
Not to give somebody my keys and my ID before I go into the club.
We haven't really talked after the crash, but...
It depends on how I feel. I'm not sure about it.
Hey.
It's case number 128 on the calendar in the matter of Lapricola versus Bean.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat.
Ms. Lapricola, it is your claim that the defendant, who I assume is a neighbor of yours,
yes,
someone that you knew,
yes,
was involved in some sort of a minor altercation with you.
Yes.
And as a result of that, your phone was broken.
Yes, ma'am.
You claimed that she broke your phone.
Yes.
And in addition, she filed a protective order against you.
Yes.
That was ultimately dismissed.
Yes.
You're going to tell me how far that got. That's the nature of your complaint. Miss Bean says that your phone dropped on the floor and it was actually your fault, and that she complained of something that I'm not quite understanding with regard to the assault that she's alleging, something about jerking her arm. Don't know what that's about. She'll explain it to me. How far away do you live from each other?
I'd say 40 feet. 50 feet, maybe.
Are you right next door to each other?
No, I have an empty lot between my house and her house.
But there is no other house there?
No.
And how long have you been neighbors?
Since 2007.
Did you move or did she move in? Who was there first?
I moved there.
Okay, so she's been there. How long have you been there?
26 years, about.
Who do you live with?
My son and his family. They live with me.
And you?
And my ex-husband.
Okay. All right. When did this incident happen? On what date?
September the 14th.
And prior to September 14th, had you and Miss Bean had any difficulty?
No, I don't believe so.
You had never had words, never called authorities on each other. You lived reasonably together. Did you ever have conversations with each other?
Yes.
Was it a friendly relationship?
Yes.
But not close friends?
No.
Great. You want to tell me what happened on September 14th?
She came into my driveway, wanted me to call 911 because the lady next door had sliced her wrist. And
Lady next door to whom?
To me, on the south side of me.
So it wasn't next to her house. It was her house, vacant lot, your house, and the lady next door to you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say sliced her wrist, did you see the injury?
Yes. There were
Did you go over to the injury?
Yes. after I called 911.
Because you had your phone with you?
Yes.
Go ahead. So you called 911 because she said the lady next door sliced her wrist?
Yes, and the lady on the phone from 911 wanted to know how bad it was, and I asked to see the wound.
So then you walked over to where the lady was? She was out on porch?
She was sitting on her porch with her crutches on the ground, and I told the 911...
So you looked at it?
Yes.
Tell me what it looked like to you.
It was 2 cuts, but they didn't look deep. And it wasn't really bleeding much at the time. And I told the 911 lady that it was not a life-threatening injury, but that she evidently needed help.
Had she fallen, or was this something that she did to herself?
She did this to herself. She cut her wrist.
Outside?
Yes.
With what?
I was told a box knife.
Did you see a box knife?
I don't remember.
Is that lady usually on crutches?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Bean, I'm going to come over to you for a moment.
Yes, sure.
You must have seen this happen prior to Miss Lapicola.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me what you saw.
My granddaughter and I were out cleaning up the neighborhood. I turned around. I saw the lady sitting on the cement step. Her crutches were on the ground. And I said, have you fallen? We walked across the street, and I said, have you fallen down? I thought she needed her crutches and help up because she's heavy set. And when I got up there, she had this knife.
Wait, put it down. Just tell me what you saw.
Okay, she had this knife and she was slitting her wrist. And I had Kleenexes in my pocket and a garbage sack from picking up. And I put my napkin, my Kleenexes on her wrist. And
You mean the Kleenexes that you had picked up from the ground?
No, out of my pocket, Your Honor. No, I wouldn't do
Okay,
that.
I couldn't understand the correlation to what you were doing.
I had Kleenexes in my pocket, and I
Did she say anything to you?
She did. When I got up there, she was shaking very badly.
What did she say to you?
I thought she fell, and I was going to help her up. And I saw the knife. I took the knife away from her. I put my arms around her and tried to talk to her, and she said, give me it back, give me it back.
Okay, so it was clear she was trying to harm herself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now with that backdrop, you didn't, I assume from reading your answer, you didn't have a phone.
Your Honor, I did not know how to use cell phones, and I did not.
Good for you. The world would be a better place.
Yes.
So that's why you asked her to call.
It is.
She was outside. All right, so you made the call to 911. You looked at the wound.
Yes.
Went over and told 911 that you didn't think that it was life-threatening. Did you tell the people at 911 that she had tried to harm herself?
Yes.
Tell me what happened as you were on the phone with Miss Bean.
Well, I was on the phone with a 911 operator, and she was trying to get information from me where this occurred at and the woman's name, and Pat was yelling, and I couldn't hardly talk to the 911 lady because of that. And I just said, Pat, do you want me to call the police or not? And then I proceeded to talk to 911, and I started walking over into my driveway. So Pat came by the end of my driveway and said, I'm going to go home and call them at my house. And she was walking away. I thought, yeah, we're going to have 2 911 lines tied up, and somebody's liable to try to call for help. So I said, well, Pat, I already have her on the phone. There's no sense in you making another call to them. Do you want to talk to her? And she said, yes. And she come over and took my phone. And excuse my language, but she put the phone to her face, and she said, you... And I said, Pat, if you're going to talk like that, just give me my phone back. And that's when she said to me, I'll give you your phone back. I'll bust you right in your mouth. And then she threw my phone.
Where did she throw your phone?
Into the road. And it busted it.
Okay, what happened next?
I said, you know, Pat, you're ridiculous. You just broke my phone. And I walked over, picked it up, and went in my house. And then when the fire truck and the police came, I asked one of the officers if I could please talk to him after they were through. And he said, sure.
And you spoke to him and told him what happened with your phone?
I told him that she threw my phone and busted it.
You have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
And do you want the receipts and stuff, too?
No, I just want to see the police report at this time. First of all, you all got the date wrong.
Was it?
Because it wasn't in September, Miss Beam.
August.
It was in August.
Correct.
And it wasn't on the 14th.
19th.
It was the 19th.
Sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Miss Beam.
Yes, ma'am.
You admitted to the police you threw the phone into the road. That's exactly what you said. You have the police report?
I do, Your Honor, and I had him amend it. I did not intentionally throw it in the road.
Well, I'm telling you, there's a very long statement here.
Yes.
And I don't know why you have your granddaughter in the room. How old is she?
She just turned 8 because
Would
she
you go outside, please? Bird, would you take the child outside? She's clearly not necessary here.
Well, she was a witness, Your Honor.
Well, she may be a witness. I'm not going to ask her to fib for you.
Well, she would not.
Well, yes,
And
she
I
might.
will not.
Because you certainly, it is such a clear quote. It's not even a synopsis of what you said, Miss Bean. This is what you said. Patricia admitted she threw the cell phone into the street and also stated, quote, I don't see what the big deal is. She should have paid her bills instead of buying that expensive phone anyway. She went on to say she is just a slut, and if the wants to make a big deal, she should remove her weeds from my flowers. That's a clear quote. That's not a mistake. That's not a misreading. That's clear. And then the police report goes on, and this is not just a synopsis. The police officer has it in quotes. I was informed by Janetta, that is the plaintiff, that she doesn't want Patricia to be taken into custody, but to pay for the cell phone. I informed Patricia that Janetta does not want to pursue charges if she agrees to pay for the phone. And Patricia replied, I don't want to give the slut any money unless she can provide a bill or some paperwork showing what the phone is worth. Then I will pay her because money is no object. I have the money. These remarks were made in my presence along with officers and Sergeant...
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What you say to the police originally when they first respond to the scene, I take as accurate. What you fix the next day or the day after, I'm not interested in, Miss Bean.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janetta Lapicola says neighbor Patricia Bean purposely broke her cell phone and filed a false restraining order. Patricia claims Janetta assaulted her.
All right, so now let's take care of the phone, Miss Bean.
Yes, ma'am.
You have the receipts on the phone totaling how much? $705?
Yes.
$705 is the cost of the phone. That you will pay, because that's what you told the police you were going to pay.
Your Honor, I went and amended that.
I don't care. What you say to the police originally when they first respond to the scene, I take as accurate. What you fix the next day or the day after, I'm not interested in, Miss Bean.
I truly don't remember everything.
Well, then you had a blackout. Then you had a blackout.
I was concerned about my neighbor.
Then you had a blackout.
And my granddaughter seeing this.
Listen to me. Then you had a blackout.
No, I did not.
Well, then you didn't have a blackout. Then what you told the police officer on the date of the incident was true.
Illinois is not noted for the police honesty.
Oh, Miss Bean, get over it. Now, let's get to the next thing. I want to know how far this because when the police came back to you with the paperwork, because that's what this says.
That was that night.
When the police came back to you because you said, I'll pay for the phone, money's no object. The police went and got the bills for the phone and brought them to you. And when they brought you the bills for the phone, you said, I want to talk about my injuries because she grabbed the phone from me and she grabbed my arm and she knows I have previous conditions. Police officer looked at your arm, saw not a bruise, saw not a mark, saw not a nothing. And then you said to the police, I'm going to go to a lawyer. This is the quote. Patricia advised that all of her injuries are previous, but she thinks Janetta had caused her some discomfort. Patricia also said that she will contact an attorney to see if Janetta can pay some of her medical bills from her injuries, previous and current. I mean, do you think that these officers are psychotic, that they make this up?
No, I think Officer he made up his mind before.
And what about Officer and Sergeant?
They stay together.
Okay, so this is what happened. You got very upset, and the truth of the matter is, I think that there's a difference between somebody falling and injuring themselves and you not seeing any, signs of severe injury and knowing that someone is trying to take their own life, I would say that that is an emergency.
And I told the 911 lady that.
And I would say that that is these injuries don't appear to be life-threatening, but she's clearly sitting here. She has a knife, and she clearly cut herself. So it's an emergency. Clearly, she did not like your response. She didn't think that you were sufficiently moved by what you saw.
Yeah, I guess it would
she
be
wasn't.
that's how she felt.
She didn't think you were sufficiently moved by the gravity of the situation. Would that be a fair statement, Ms. Bean?
Yes, Your Honor. My words were that she is downplaying the situation.
So you didn't think that she... I'm reading between the lines. You know, this is a new situation. I've never tried a situation like this, but it's common sense.
I've never
You
had
got
one.
upset because you didn't think that the person to whom you was speaking and asking for help was relaying the gravity of the situation as you felt in your mind's eye. You got frustrated.
Yes, Your Honor.
And despite the fact that you are talking very mildly now and you had your 8-year-old granddaughter with you, you were cursing.
I did not say those words. I did say...
Well, that's a curse word.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Ms. Bean, I said to you, you lied. You lied to me in your answer about the phone. And if you lied to me in the answer about the phone, I find anything else that you say to me suspect.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janetta Lapicola has accused neighbor Patricia Bean of purposely breaking her cell phone during an argument.
Okay, how far did the order of protection get?
I can give the order of protection to you, but I didn't know till recently that there was even one against me.
Okay, so you didn't even know that she had filed for one?
Not until recently.
But there is none in existence?
Not now.
Was there ever?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor, it was denied.
You filed this over a month later, September 24th.
That is the date that it was stamped, but I had went up there before, and I had to sign a release for, I was supposed to get a 911 tape or whatever it is. I did that.
Did you ask her for the money for the phone between August 19th and September?
I only sent the receipt with the police officers to her house, that's all.
That was the only thing that you did?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
between that time and September, did you have any other contact with Miss Bean?
One time she came to the fence and was mad because the neighbors on the other side of her had talked to me at Walmart, and they told me that she was spreading rumors about me, and I told them the truth about me, that that wasn't true. And somehow or another she found out we had talked, and she came to the fence and tried to call me to the street to fight her. And I said, "Oh, Pat, shut up," and I went in my house.
That's because she knew she was lying.
No, you're lying.
No, I'm not.
Oh, absolutely, you're lying to me.
No,
you lied in your answer?
No, I did not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The phone did not fall on the floor. And these police officers didn't have a psychotic lapse, all three of them, and in quoting exactly what you said.
Your Honor, I have bone injuries. There was nothing that it was going to show, black and blue. I was worried about my bones.
I'm talking about the phone.
I know that, and I don't know nothing about the phone except she updated it, got a family plan.
I said to you, Miss Bean, I said to you, you lied. You lied to me in your answer about the phone. And if you lied to me in the answer about the phone, I find anything else that you say to me suspect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
If you or a loved one suffered serious complications from a transvaginal mesh product, you may be entitled to a cash award. Call 800-336-ATTY for a free consultation. One manufacturer has offered $830 million to settle cases involving its transvaginal mesh products. Call 800-336-ATTY now. That's 800-336-ATTY.
Are you the victim of an assault? Go to JudgeJudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, in your answer, you say the phone dropped on the floor. It was her fault. You told the police
because
the day that it happened. The day that it happened, that you took the phone and you threw it. That's what you told the police. 3 of them. The day that this happened, the day that they responded. So I don't care what you updated the next day, and I don't care I feel badly that you've had pre-existing injuries, but what you did was nothing more.
Save a life.
That had nothing to do with her. That had nothing.
She shoved the phone at me. I didn't think she took it serious enough, Your Honor. And I am crippled, and I ran as fast as I could go in my garage to get my cordless phone.
I know exactly what you did.
And I had it in this arm. I went back by her. She said, here, you know so much more about medical or medicine than I do. You take my phone. And I had her phone in this hand. And I said, my neighbor is downplaying it. And I don't even know the lady's last name. My 7-year-old granddaughter is here crying. And I was very nervous. And I know you don't care, but I do.
Whether you were very nervous. What I'm saying is you got frustrated.
She pushed the phone on me. I didn't even want it. And I continued walking. I intended to give her the phone back. And when she kept jerking me, it went to the ground, and I said, there. All of her cussing and raving was after she was making a show. Ask her how many times she's been married, how many men she's had.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500, $750 for the phone, the other $750 for filing false charges against you.
I did
in
not
criminal court. In criminal, yes, you did.
No, I did
That's
not.
it.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The risk was real.
The defendant's dog lunged at my dog. I saw blood spurting out of my dog's right front limb.
Next Judge Judy.
I told the truth and nothing but the truth. I was concerned about this neighbor.
I think it's fair, and I think it's sad that a person in her 60s can't behave any better than she does.
She thinks she's a doctor. Whenever there's an ambulance or anything called in our neighborhood, she runs out there.
I was just trying to tell what I saw.
I hope she moves in with another man and gets away from me, you know.
I think Pat likes a lot of attention. She likes to cause a lot of trouble in the neighborhood, and she's always getting orders against people.
We was doing the work of the good Lord. And I would do the same thing today.
We could have a peaceful neighborhood if it weren't for her.